I've been investing in Texas real estate for 21 years. I probably hold the distinction of teaching more Texans how to invest in Texas than anybody else that's ever existed. I've taught over 150,000 people here in Texas how to do this, and now I'm going to teach you guys a little stuff tonight. So we've got lots to do. I'll go ahead and get started. This presentation is brought to you by the Texas REIAs. The Texas REIAs is the largest real estate investor association, network of real estate investor association with chapters in Austin, Dallas, Houston, San Antonio, over 150,000 members, participants, and attendees going back to 2003. So then why do you even care? Well, they say if you have even the very, very slightest interest in real estate, the very, very first thing to do is to go join your local real estate investor association, because that's how you get plugged in. Why? Because real estate is local. Laws are local. Contracts are local. Contractors are local. Buyers, sellers, houses, rules, everything about real estate is local. There's 30,000 YouTube videos that talk about how to invest in real estate. They all talk about how to do it anywhere. Well, how to do it anywhere is how to do it at 30,000 feet. But real estate is not bought and sold at 30,000 feet. Real estate is bought and sold at 0 feet. So if you want to know what laws apply here, and which contracts to use here, and which strategies work here, and which neighborhoods to invest in here, and where to get the money and the power teams and the resources here, where do you get that? And there's no other place but your local real estate investor association. And my job is to make you educated, contributing members of this community. So welcome everybody. We are live, and we're also broadcasting. If you're on GoToWebinar, you're watching live. If you're on our social media on Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, or Twitch, you may or may not be live. But if you'd like to come to some live training, just go to flipping.com/events, because we have events every single week all over the state on every topic under the sun. And that's the #1 place to get started flipping, whether it's residential or commercial. So let's get started by answering the question of where to start and what to do. I know you're all here for your own reasons, and you're all at different levels. Some of you are just getting started. Some of you are doing this or that or whatever. But I get asked a lot, okay, well, what's the best kind of investing, or where should I get started, or what should I be doing here? And I'm going to answer that question by saying, yes, there's a lot of things you can do. You can be a residential real estate investor, you can be a commercial real estate investor, you can be an active investor, you can be a passive investor, and we love them all. We do them all. I do them all. Here at the REIA, we're not here to try to persuade you of anything in particular. We do everything. You love commercial, we love commercial. You love residential, we do all the strategies, all the techniques. We do asset, we do active, we do passive. This is a big community. We have 257 vendors that have every imaginable service you could imagine. So we love them all. And if you're trying to figure out like which one is right for you, like these 4 quadrants, I would say, well, it depends on why you're here. So for example, if you tell me, I'm here because I want to quit my job, or I want to create a side hustle, or I want to generate some extra income, and I want to do it relatively quickly, whether or not I have money or credit. If that's your goal, if that's your primary driver, then I'm going to tell you, great, you should be flipping houses. There's many ways to do it. We're going to show you a dozen different strategies, most of which take no money and no credit. And I'm going to tell you whether you have money or not doesn't actually matter much, because nobody has enough anyway. I don't have enough money to do this. Elon Musk does not have enough to do this. None of you have enough to do this. You got $500,000 in your checking account. Great, good for you. Go buy a house. Okay, now you're done. Yep, that was it. Can't buy another house because all your money's in the first house. No, you have to be prepared to buy any property at any time at any price, because you have no idea what that life-changing deal of a lifetime that could just pop on your desk right tomorrow will look like. So you got to get comfortable using other people's money. There's great ways to do that. We have 1,000 private money lenders. We have hard money lenders. And you got to get used to learning how to do this with no money. And 9 of the 12 strategies I'm going to teach you today are going to be no money, no credit strategies. Because whether you have money or not, you got to learn how to do it with other people's money or with no money. So going back to our little matrix, if your goal is to replace your income or supplement your income, or if you're here primarily because you want to make yourself an extra $100,000 or more in the next 12 months, I'm going to say you should be flipping houses. Now, if you say, but that's not why I'm here, I'm looking not for income so much as wealth. I want to build long-term wealth. I like my job. I'm good with the money. I'm looking to build wealth. I want to retire much wealthier than my current trajectory would put me. Well, if that's why you're here, then I'm going to say, great, you should be buying rental properties. I'm a huge proponent of buying rental properties. I've been buying rental properties for 21 years here in Texas. And let's get a little interaction going. I'm just curious, what do you guys think of the real estate market right now? Who thinks houses are kind of expensive right now? Who thinks houses are kind of expensive right now? Who thinks houses are kind of cheap right now? Okay, so I'm going to give you all just two options. You can't be right or wrong because it's just your opinion. So I'd like to get everybody's opinion. Who thinks houses are kind of expensive right now? Who thinks they're kind of expensive right now? Who thinks they're kind of cheap right now? Who think they're kind of cheap right now? Okay, so a lot of expensive, a couple cheaps. Okay, my opinion, they are freaking dirt cheap. I've been looking at the prices lately. I'm kind of astounded. I almost fell off my chair the other day looking at how cheap these houses are. I mean, they're practically giving them away. It's like, you know, buy one, get three free. I mean, it's crazy how cheap these houses are. I'm shocked personally. You know, but don't listen to me. Don't listen to me. Don't ask me. I'll tell you what. I want you to ask somebody that I know you trust. You just met me, so I want you to ask somebody I know you trust. In fact, I want you to ask the person that you trust more than anybody else in the world, because I know you'll trust and believe them, right? I want you to ask them, what do you think of home prices? That's what I want you to do, right now in 2024, what do you think of home prices? Okay, so who should you ask? Here's who I want you to ask. I want you to ask future you. Okay, I want you to go to yourself 20 years in the future and say, what do you think of home prices in 2024 in Dallas, Texas? And I'm going to tell you what future you is going to tell you. Oh my God, do you believe it? You could have bought houses for less than $3 million a piece. You should have bought them all. Okay, I bought a bunch of rental properties here in Texas, mostly in central Austin, 21 years ago, and I paid ridiculous prices for them. I did, a ridiculous price. I was spending sometimes I spent like $125,000 a house. Some of these houses I spent like $150,000, $160,000. I know, ridiculous, right? I think some I spent $100,000 for. It was ridiculous. Okay, well now I'm selling those houses for $850,000, $750,000. One of them I'm selling for $1.2 million. Okay, here's what I've noticed for 21 years in the real estate market. Every time anybody ever gets into real estate, they always say the same thing. Oh my God, houses are so expensive. Well, whatever you think the house prices are today compared to 20 years ago, okay, 20 years from now, they're going to be saying the exact same thing they're saying about houses today. And the smartest thing I ever did was bought a bunch of houses 21 years ago, right? Because a lot of my wealth today came from decisions I made 20 years ago. So when's the best time to plant a tree? 20 years ago. When's the second best time to plant a tree? That would be today, right? So you're planting trees today that will determine your future in a big way, like in a big way. So if your goal is to get wealthy, great. I'm going to say you should be buying rental properties. Now, you could say though, but that's still not why I'm here. I already have money. What I'm really looking to do is to make money from my money, right? And I want to do something better than what everybody else does. Everybody invests in the stock market. I want something way better than the stock market. Well, I'd say that's a smart decision because, you know, wealthy people, to be honest, do not invest in the stock market. The stock market is public equity. Apple Computer. Anybody can invest in Apple Computer. And yeah, you make money in the stock market. But if you knew about something that had like on average twice the return, you'd probably go to that, right? And that is private equity. And wealthy families and wealthy people, they invest in private equity. Now that's not as simple as just like going to a stock exchange and picking some Apple Computer stock. You have to know people. This is private, right? This is not publicly stuff. But the most common private equity is commercial real estate syndications. Uh-oh, my chart got all messed up. Commercial syndications. Commercial and syndications, on average, have twice the return of the stock market and half the risk. There it is. So once you learn about something that's got twice the return and half the risk, you're never going to go back to the stock market, right? And frankly, nobody ever goes back to the stock market after they learn about private equity and commercial syndications. Put in 50,000, you get back 100, and you can use your IRA 401k, and it's twice return on average, right, than the stock market. Stock market makes money, but there's just things that on average make more money. But then if you said, but that's still not it, Phil, that's not why I'm here. I'm here because I want to make the big money. $100,000 is not going to do anything for me. I want to make $1 million, $2 million, $3 million, $5 million a year. I want to make the big money, and that's why I'm here. I'm going to say, great, then you should be doing commercial syndications. Sponsoring syndications, typically you buy a $10 million building. You use other people's money, by the way. To buy a $10 million building, you get a $7 million loan. And the loan's not based on you and your income. It's based on the property. Commercial loans are, in a lot of ways, frankly, easier to get than residential loans, oddly enough, right? The loan is not the tricky part. The tricky part is to get the $1 million loan, the $7 million loan, you got to put $3 million down. Where do you get $3 million down? Well, that's that private equity. You get 60 people to invest $50,000, you got $3 million down. Now, that being said, when you're pooling millions of dollars together from multiple people, you're creating what the government calls a security, and how that money is raised is regulated by the Securities and Exchange Commission. So you got to follow the rules, or you can literally go to jail. So yeah, putting 100 in and getting 200 back is cool until you realize the guy you invested the 100,000 with is making $1 million plus, right? Which is who the and what the syndicator's making. So these are all great things to do, right? And you know, which one is right for you really just depends on you. So let's do a poll of the audience. I'm going to go quadrant 1, 2, 3, and 4. Just kind of like to get an idea why you guys are here. How many of you are here mostly because you'd like to supplement your income, make 6 figures, an extra 6 figures in the next 12 months? Raise your hand if that's kind of you. Okay, how many of you are here mostly because you're looking to build long-term wealth, mostly long-term wealth? Okay, more of the income people here and the wealth people there. Okay, no problem. How many of you are here because you would like to make money on your money, right? Make money on your money, learn better ways to make money on your money. Great. How many of you are here because you're looking to do the big deals? Who's looking to do the big deals? Oh, well, you see, we've got a nice little mix here in the room. So they're all good, right? What most people do is they start, right, by flipping houses. You don't have to, but that's where most people start. I'm going to say always keep some. I have kind of the Bluebell ice cream philosophy. Their motto is we eat all we can and we sell the rest. You know, my philosophy with houses is I keep all I can and I sell the rest, right? I can't keep them all, right? I make some money too. But I love buying rental properties, and everybody, in my opinion, everybody should buy rental properties. There's ways to do it, believe it or not, with no money and no credit. We'll talk about those. Now, I'm going to tell you, once you have more money than you need to pay your bills, you're going to want to make money with your money. You're going to want to do it in ways that give you the highest possible returns, and you should always invest in stuff you understand. And I'm going to tell you, as you get into this real estate thing, that will be commercial syndications. But then when you put 100,000 in and get 200 back, you put 50,000 in and you get 100 back, that's cool, right? But then you realize the guy you invested your 100 with made $1 million plus, and you're going to see exactly how he did it. You're going to want to be that guy. Because, you know, the best way to learn commercial syndications is to invest in commercial syndications. You get a copy of the business plan, you meet the sponsor, you see the property, and then you kind of follow along as your money makes you money. So those are all great things to do. And we love them all. We have training and resources and people and all kinds of things for all of these different things. Now, I will tell you, we do all of this stuff and we love it all. But I'll say specifically, if you're here or really interested in commercial real estate, you might want to take a picture of this QR code. We have lots of special free training on commercial real estate. We even have a big online seminar, I think Thursday night, called Big Profits Live, and we got a special presentation on that. And when you take a picture of these QR codes, by the way, it doesn't ask for your name or anything or email. You just sends a text from your phone, right, to the system, and then the system will text you back links and information about that product or service. And these QR codes, this is how the vendors and different service providers of this community, provide their services to you guys, right? So we have all kinds of commercial resources and training. If that's interesting to you, you definitely want to take a picture of that and get some information on it. But most of you actually kind of identified quadrant 1 and quadrant 2, so I think we're going to get started with quadrant 1 and quadrant 2. And if that's interesting to you, good news, we got a lot of ways to do that. In fact, we're going to talk about a dozen different strategies that you can use in residential. You can also use most of these in commercial as well. A lot of these are around flipping houses or flipping real estate. Most of them, good news, require little or no money and no credit, because whether you have money or not, you don't have enough, so you got to learn how to do it with no money. We're also going to show you some very unique ways to buy and hold property. And this is the Texas REIAs. We have resources that nobody in Texas has. We've been pulling data out of the MLS for 20 years, millions and millions of records with big data. We can show you with these animated heat maps exactly down to the street which neighborhoods to buy and hold in and which neighborhoods you would never want to buy and hold in. And we can show you on a street-by-street basis. And when you see this over time, this will literally make a 3x difference in the total return that you get out of your rental portfolio. So making decisions on which ones to hold is critical. I mean, like critical long-term. Doesn't matter short-term. Long-term, it makes all the difference in the world. So let's go ahead and get started. By the way, I'm Phil Grove. You saw that little intro earlier. I became a real estate investor on December 15, 2003. That was 21 years ago. Been doing this for a long time. Negotiated over 1,200 deals. Made a lot of money. I bought $30 million worth of rental properties. That was a smart thing to do. And I own $30 million in properties. I didn't pay $30 million. I paid a lot less than that, but now they're worth $30 million. Made a lot of money along the way. And I've taught well over 100,000 people here in Texas how to invest in real estate. So I teach Texans how to invest in Texas using strategies that work here. And like I said, probably have the distinction of teaching more Texans how to invest in Texas than any human being alive. These are some of the deals that made me money. I don't have time to go through them all, but I do a lot of deals. In fact, I do up to a real estate transaction a week in some shape, form, variety, or another. And what that does is it creates money in big chunks. Now that sounds cool, right? Money in big chunks. But I'm not here to sound good or cool. I'm here to teach you. So my first lesson, how does this business work? The way this business works is as follows. We do things to get people with problems to call us. Okay, what kind of problems? What are we looking for? People want to sell a house. People have a mortgage they can't afford. A house they don't want. Problems to entrepreneurs are what? Opportunities. Big problems are what? Big opportunities. So if you're thinking like, I don't want any problems, you're thinking, I don't want to be an entrepreneur. We're real estate entrepreneurs. I'm going to tell you, every entrepreneur has something in common with every other entrepreneur. Entrepreneurs solve problems. That's how we help the world and add value to the world. Okay, so if you want to make a lot of money, go find some complicated problem a lot of people have and solve it, right? And people will pay you a lot to do that. So we solve real estate problems, all kinds of real estate problems. Let me give you some examples. Found somebody facing foreclosure, huge problem. And I gave them an alternative, something called a short sale, allowed them to sell their house without having to bring money to the table, without completely destroying their credit. And I made $16,000 helping somebody solve a problem. REO stands for real estate owned. Banks don't want to own real estate. They're not in that business, so I took it off the bank's hands, flipped it, made $36,000. Got a property, had to sell a house. The guy had to sell a house by Friday. A realtor cannot sell your house by Friday. I can. Wholesaled it, made $5,000. Got a property subject to my specialty, no money, no credit. Flipped it, made $68,000. Got a wholesale deal, assignment deal, I should say, made $5,600. Got a, a mortgage assignment, made $6,000, small deal. $10,000 on a wholesale, $2,800 for a small referral, $12,400 for a larger referral. The way this business works is as follows. We do things to get people with problems to call us. And here's the really beautiful part. For every problem that exists, for every address that exists, for every home, if you give me a home and an address, I can tell you for every address that exists, we have one or more strategies that'll help them, it's about helping people, solve their need, solve their problem, and get you paid. I can help motivated sellers, I can help non-motivated sellers, I can help people that own their houses free and clear, I can help people that are hopelessly underwater where they owe more money than the house is even worth. I can help them, I can solve their problem, I get paid. Sometimes I get singles, sometimes I get doubles, sometimes get home runs. Sometimes I work on a lead, a deal, an opportunity, a problem for 6 months, and after 6 months I make $5,000. And I'm like, oh man, 6 months for $5,000. I could have made more money working at Walmart. Thank goodness I'm not working on just one lead at a time. Sometimes my phone rings and that phone call makes me $55,000 in 48 hours. And I'm like, oh man, I wish every time my phone rang I made $55,000 in 48 hours, but that's not how it works either. That's maybe 1 in 100 phone calls. So the question to ask yourself is, how often do you get 100 phone calls? Well, that depends on you and how much marketing that you do. Do you get 100 phone calls a week? Do you get 100 phone calls a month? Do you get 100 phone calls a year? Well, that depends on you and how much marketing that you do. So there's 2 essential skills that I'm going to teach you to be a real estate investor. The first and foremost skill in real estate or any other business is finding deals, generating leads. What is a lead? In real estate, a lead is nothing more than the name and number of somebody that might want to sell real estate. So you got to spend 85% of your time and money in any business generating leads. It's the engine of all business. Generating leads. It determines how many shots you get to take on goal, how many opportunities you even have to make money. The next skill we're going to learn is strategy. Strategy in real estate is the product or service that we offer. We buy houses. We help people sell houses, get rid of houses and mortgages they don't want, can't afford. We do it in a variety of different ways. It solves a variety of different problems. So these are the 2 different skills: marketing and strategy, finding deals and doing deals, finding problems, and solving problems. So we use 65 different methods. I'm going to show you 65 different ways to find off-market wholesale properties, because we only buy off-market wholesale properties. I'm going to show you a dozen different strategies to help people. It's about helping people solve their need and get yourself paid. Over half of the marketing methods, by the way, are completely free. They take some time, but they're completely free. And 9 of the 12 investing strategies are actually no money, no credit strategies. When you learn how to buy real estate with no money and no credit, then how many properties can you buy? Yeah, all of them. How many do you want to buy? All of them. Like if I ask a question, you just kind of shout out all of them. I'm going to tell you right now, you're probably going to get it right. Okay, so all of them, yeah, all of them. So marketing and strategy, finding deals, doing deals, finding problems, solving problems, finding needs, solving needs. Let's get started with the marketing. Actually, first I'm going to tell you a quick story. This was the very first house that I flipped on December 15, 2003. I flipped this house. But I'll tell you a little story. On December 14th, 2003, I was scared to death. I was actually being coached and mentored by the 2 guys who ran the Real Estate Investor Association 21 years ago. And I called them both on the phone on December 14, 2003. I'm scared. I don't want to lose any money. Are you guys sure this is going to work? Yeah, it took 2 seasoned, experienced real estate investors pulling me, kicking and screaming over the starting blocks to get me to do that very first deal. So if you're scared, I get it. I understand. I can help. But I actually had one other thing that was also motivating me to take action and move forward. I was in a job I no longer loved, and I was in a career that I no longer loved. And I'm going to tell you, if you're spending your time doing something you don't love doing, you need to do something different with your life plan. And that's exactly where I was. I needed a different life. And I got to tell you, you get one life. And man, it just races by. My wife and I recently had a baby boy. And this last weekend, I noticed there was a 15-year-old running around in my house. And he wants a car. And it's like, he was a baby. I remember feeding him a few times, and now he wants a car. Like, what's with that, right? And he's taller than me. And it's like, what happened to the last 15 years? It was just like this blur. It just like that, right? And I'm going to tell you, if you're not on a trajectory to getting the life that you want, if you're not reaching your God-given potential, then maybe you need to do something different with your life plan. And that's exactly where I was on December 15, 2003. I wanted and needed a different life. So let's talk a little bit more about that very first deal, because your first deal, and in many ways, is your most important deal. It's a life-changing experience. Kind of like your first kiss, right? Everybody remembers their first kiss. Everybody remembers their first deal. I'll tell you about mine. It took me 6 months to find my first deal. I was kind of a slow starter. Got it under contract with a contract I got right here at the REIA. Okay, I bought it using OPM, other people's money. We have 1,000 private money lenders in this network. Private money is faster, cheaper, better. If you have a relationship with private money, you have a competitive advantage that nobody can compete against, right? Better, faster, cheaper, more reliable. I got a contractor right here at the REIA to fix it. I got a realtor right here at the REIA to sell it. I got an attorney and title company right here at the REIA to close it. Went to that very first closing, and I picked up that very first check for $15,384.26. And you know, when they handed me that check, it was like you unscrewed the cap, popped out the old brain, popped in the new brain. Because right up until the moment that they handed me that check, I was a real estate investor based on theory. And I wasn't even sure I believed that theory. I don't know about this, not sure about that, don't know about this other thing. But the second they handed me that check, like a switch flipping, I didn't know anything different, except I knew it actually worked. And like a switch flipping, I became a real estate investor based on experience. And what I realized when they handed me that check is if I did this and this and this again, I get another check, right? It worked the first time. And if I did this, this, and this again, I get another check. And this, and this again, I get another check. But the really big deal that I realized when they handed me that very first check, right at that moment, I realized that I would never, ever, 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 ever have to work for somebody else. Ever, 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 never, ever again. Yeah, and I haven't worked for somebody else for 21 years, ever since they handed me that check. My resume is in some form of DOS that even the techiest of techie guys in this room couldn't resurrect if you wanted to. Yeah, I haven't worked for somebody. I haven't even updated my resume in 21 years. So if you're new and you're getting started, here's my first piece of advice. You need to focus yourself like a laser beam on that very first deal, because that very first deal will change your life, mostly by changing your mindset. Deals 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 combined, not as hard as deal number 1, right? So you got to focus on deal number 1. Now, I told you I was going to tell you what I did right. I'm also going to tell you what I did wrong, because I did make one big mistake right out of the chute. I spent all that time finding the deal. I found the deal. When I found the deal, I kind of put my marketing on hold, right? I picked up a hammer. Right, I started managing contractors, I worked on the deal, I finished the deal, I got the check, right? I got the check, only to wake up the next day and realize I had absolutely nothing to do. Well, you know, except start the whole business all over again. And this gets me to my very first takeaway. And honestly, this is the big one. The business of being a real estate investor is the business of finding deals. It's all about finding deals. Why? Because you make the money on the buy. What does that mean? When you get a property, as soon as you get a property under contract, whatever money was going to be made or not made, it's done right at that moment. Yeah, you get the money at the end on the sell, but you make the money on the buy. And once you realize that, you always need to spend 85% of your time and money on marketing, looking for the next deal, because the next deal is more important, always more important than the deal you have now. The rookies all screw this up. They finally get a deal, they finally do enough marketing, they finally find a deal, they get it under contract, great, but while they're working on the deal, they're not looking for the next deal, so they turn off their marketing. So when they're done with the deal, they get the check, but they don't have another deal, so they restart the marketing, they finally get it going, they finally find another deal, they do another deal, they make some money, great, but while they're working on that deal, they're not doing the marketing, looking for the next deal. So they reset the marketing, right? And their income goes up and down with big gaps in between. Don't make that rookie mistake. You need your income to go up, 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 up. And the way you do that is you always spend 85% of your time and money on marketing, looking for the next deal, because the next deal is always more important than the deal you have now. That is the mindset you have to have. And hint, the deals you're looking for are not in the MLS. The MLS is the multiple listing service. It's the retail market for real estate. It's where realtors sell real estate. It's where all the people in the world compete with each other to see who will pay the most. And I hate to say it, but when you're competing against all the people in the world, some of those people are stupid. And you don't want to compete against stupid. Well, you don't want to win competing against stupid. Now, don't get me wrong, folks. I love the MLS. I adore the MLS. Why do I love and adore the MLS? Because after I buy off-market wholesale real estate, where do I want to go to resell it? Yeah, the MLS. It's been proven that any property posted at the MLS will sell for the most it could possibly be sold for. That's just never where you're going to find heavily discounted wholesale real estate. The very best deal in the entire MLS would rarely be a deal that I would even take a second look at. You might find 5%, 10%, maybe 20% discount. I'm looking for 30% or more discount before I'll even start to look. So finding deals. This is the rookie mistake, right? The rookies, their income goes up and down as they go back and forth between marketing and deal and marketing and deal and marketing and deal. No, you need your income to go up, up, up. And it's simple. Always spend 85% of your time and money in business, in any business, but especially in real estate business, right? Looking for the next deal, because the next deal is always more important than the deal you have now. So, finding deals. Once I realized this whole shooting match is about finding deals, well, then I started to systematize the process of finding deals. And over time, I developed 65 different ways to find deals. Well, actually, it's not really accurate to say I developed 65 methods. What would be more accurate is to say I found 65 things that work, and I started to do those things. In fact, I need to teach you all a really important lesson, maybe the most important lesson that I'm going to teach you today. But for me to teach you this next lesson, first, I need to unteach you all something. Okay, so I got to unteach you all something. When you guys are in elementary school, if you looked over the paper next to you and you copied down the answers, that was called what? Cheating. And you're all told that cheating is what? Bad, wrong. Okay, we're not a bunch of little kids. We're not in elementary school anymore. Going forward, I need you all to unlearn that. Because going forward, guess what? Cheating is actually the shortcut. Okay, what am I saying up here? What I'm trying to say is this. There's nothing that you are trying to do. There's absolutely nothing that you are trying to figure out that I and other people haven't already done and figured out. Everything, and I mean everything, and I mean absolutely everything about this business is completely figured out. We know what's in the soil. We know the zoning. We know the guys who write the zoning. We know the appreciation rate down to the street address in all the streets across the state of Texas. We know the exact letters to send to the exact marketing list. We know the exact words to say. We know the exact offers to make. We know exactly what objections we're going to get. We know exactly how to overcome those objections. We even know on average how many contracts we're going to get back signed for every 20,000 postcards we send out. Everything, and I mean everything, and I mean absolutely everything about this business is completely understood. And once I realized everything I was trying to do and everything I was trying to figure out, other people had already done and figured out, I stopped trying to figure everything out and I just started to, here's this word, copy, right? Copy the 65 tested, proven methods of actually finding off-market wholesale deals. Now, some of these methods or campaigns take time. Some of these methods and campaigns take money. Some of you have more time, some of you have more money. You know, I will honestly tell you, I don't spend any time anymore on marketing. I outsource 100%. But when you're getting started, you're probably going to insource more. So what are all these different marketing methods? Well, let me teach you a whole bunch. The first set of strategies has to do with direct mail or marketing lists. You can buy lists, marketing lists. What do you do with a marketing list? You can send them marketing. You can send them letters or postcards, or you can call them on the phone, or you can send them a text message, or you can have a voicemail, a CRM system, drop a voicemail, pre-recorded message right into their voicemail box, even without calling them. You can knock on their door. Or you can do what I do, right? And I use an AI chatbot to call and text and talk to 10,000 people and schedule appointments with the people that want to talk to me, because I don't have time to call 10,000 people. Or you can do some combination of those things, which is called a multi-touch campaign. So what are some of the popular marketing lists? Well, you can get a list of people that are late paying their taxes. You get a list of people that are late paying their mortgage, missing mortgage payments, 30, 60, 90, 120 days late paying their mortgage. You get a list of people who are scheduled for foreclosure. You can get a list of people who have filed for divorce. Two people were combining their income to pay a mortgage. Now one of them's gone. Well, the one that's left is probably having trouble paying the mortgage by themselves. You get a list of people who have inherited a house from somebody that passed away with a will. You can get a list of people who are inheriting a house from somebody that didn't have a will. You can get an AI model list. You know, we use big data to look at bazillions of records. They know everything about all of you. They know everything about all of you. There are computer models out there that can predict your likelihood to become a motivated seller. You can get a list of people who have just been dismissed from bankruptcy, certainly a lot of financial distress there. You can get a non-owner occupied list. This is a list of people who own a house where they don't live in the house they own. Well, technically, those are landlords. And a lot of them are accidental landlords. They couldn't sell a house, so they just rented it out. Or they let an ex-spouse or family member or neighbor live in a house, or they inherited a house with a tenant in it. They don't really understand anything about being a landlord. They didn't really plan to be a landlord. And very often, they eventually become motivated sellers. You can get a list of people who rent to people on public assistance. You can get a code enforcement list. You know, the city is already driving around issuing citations for abandoned houses, hoarder houses, deferred maintenance houses. Do you know you can get the city to give you a list of every problem property in the city? A lot of those are motivated sellers, or they will be. You can even get an expired listing list. This is a list of people that hired a realtor, tried for a long time to sell the house, and it didn't sell. So what do we know about these people? We know 100% of these people would like to sell their house, probably now more than ever. But they probably need solutions that realtors don't offer. Well, hello, that's exactly what investors do offer. So if you send letters and postcards to these lists of people that have problems, some of them will call you back. Right? Those are called leads. If you make them an offer that solves their problem, we have an offer for every problem. Some of them will say yes, and those are called deals. With a website, you get leads on the internet, bayonet signs, 24-inch plastic signs, see them on the side of the road. We buy houses. Why do you see those signs? Because they actually work. Online ads work. Email autoresponders. Magnetic signs, build a little sign on the side of your car. We buy houses. You put the sign on the car once, you get leads for the rest of your life. Door hangers, you don't want to pay postage. For 10 cents a door, you can have your door hanger or door flyer put on every house in a neighborhood. Here's one that's pretty much free, driving for dollars. Everybody should do this. Sometimes I'm just driving around, I see a tarp on a roof. They might as well be waving a big red flag. Desperate, motivated seller, please buy my house. I mean, think about this. Somebody's most valuable asset, a house, has a serious problem, okay, a leak, and their solution was to go buy a $5 tarp at Home Depot. How come they didn't replace the roof? Exactly, no money. Same guy's not fixing the roof, not paying his insurance, not paying his taxes, probably not paying his mortgage. Sooner or later, an investor is going to pick up that deal. Oh, wait. We interrupt this program for a special announcement. So, I mentioned the Texas REIAs has all kinds of resources. We have 257 vendors that provide every imaginable service and resource. We have over 1,000 private money lenders, 150,000 members, participants, and attendees. We do market updates, we do training, networking, all kinds of types of events and resources for real estate investors. And one of the things we provide real estate investors is training. We have training workshops for this community because we really want you to be educated and contributing members. This is world-class training. This is Texans teaching Texans how to invest in Texas using strategies that work in Texas. There's a lot of out-of-state people. They come into Texas, they do their little song and pony dance, and they have their little workshops, and they usually charge $1,000 for their workshop. Well, this is a much better workshop because this is Texans teaching leading-edge strategies to Texans that work in Texas. And because this is from the Texas REIAs, not only is it world-class training, but our training is free because it is paid for by your vendors. Thank you very much, vendors. So if you want the real deal, special training, we have the Flipping Texas REIAs Real Estate Investing Workshop. I'm mentioning this because we have some workshops coming up the beginning of the year. You know, when you're starting a new year, it's a great time to kick off your New Year's resolutions, right, with expert training on how to actually do this the right way. Actionable, practical, step-by-step training. We teach all 12 strategies. There's 12 different strategies that are used in Texas. There's things you do in Texas you don't do anywhere else. There's things that are legal, by the way, in 49 states that you can't do in Texas. And those are really important things to know. We teach all the different closes. What are closes? Closes are literally the exact words to say to get somebody to accept your solution to the problem you're offering your property. So I'll give you an example. You've probably all heard of Jack and the Magic Beanstalk, right? Everybody's heard of that. And Jack had what? He had magic beans, right? He had magic beans. Well, we have magic closes, magic words. So for example, recently I said some magic words to a woman here in Texas, and just by saying these very specific magic words, she gave me her house. Beautiful house. Didn't have to give her any money at all, didn't need any repairs, in perfect condition, ready to go. She just handed me the deed, she handed me the keys. Beautiful, had a lot of equity in the house, didn't have to give her any money at all. And she said, here's my house. It's a beautiful, wonderful house. You can have my house. In fact, thank you for taking my house because of these magic words. So who's feeling a little skeptical right now? Raise your hand if you're feeling a little skeptical right now. Who's not feeling skeptical? You believe that? Oh, you're kidding me. I just told you I have the magic words. I just say some magic words. You believe me? And I just say some magic words. Some woman just gives me her house. Come on, guys, let's be honest here. Who's feeling a little skeptical? I just claimed that I have magic words, and by simply uttering magic words, somebody just gives me their house. Raise your hand, please, if you're skeptical right now. Raise your hand if you're skeptical. If your hand's not up, I guess you believe me. Okay, and if you believe that, I've got a land deal we're going to talk about after class, okay? Look, I'm baiting you. I'm trying to make you skeptical. I want you to be skeptical. A natural human reaction to what I just said, which was pretty ridiculous, is skepticism. So you should be skeptical. So please remain skeptical. I want you to be skeptical because in a couple of minutes when I demonstrate what I actually said and how it actually works, and you see it, you're going to be all that much more amazed if you're skeptical right now. So stand by. We teach how to partner with experts, local experts. Great way to get started. You don't have to do that, but it's a great way to start. And the rookies all say the same thing. They don't get this. They're like, why would a multimillionaire real estate investor want to partner with a rookie? Why would they do that? Well, I'm going to teach you all a fact of life. This is a fact of life. If you ever want to do business with anybody that's operating at a higher business stature than you, how do you do that? Okay, here's how you do it. You're going to have to help them before they're going to help you. I'm sorry, that is life. You have to give before you get. So what could you possibly do to get a multimillionaire real estate investor to want to help you? Bring them a money-making deal because that's what they want. Okay, so that's how you give before you get. That's how you get experts to work with you. How to access funding. We have 1,000 private money lenders in this network. They want to give you money, but they're not gamblers. They don't want to do things stupid with their money. They're not going to let you do something stupid with their money. So your job is to find good investments and then invite people with money to invest in those good investments. This is experiential learning at its very best. It's Texans teaching Texans how to invest in Texas with case studies and experiences that work here. We do this live and in person. We also simulcast on Zoom, so you can join us online. I suggest you come live, but you can also come online. And the reason I mention it is 3 days, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. is we have a 3-city tour coming up. We also have a commercial workshop. This is the residential one. We do both. We have a 3-city tour coming up. And January, you're going to be all saying the same thing. This is going to be the year. And it should be your year. Everybody's going to have your New Year's resolutions. And if you're here, there's a pretty good chance that your New Year's resolutions is going to include either getting started or taking your real estate business to the next level. So you need to get some world-class training to do that, and that's why we're doing a 3-city tour, Austin, Dallas, and Houston on the dates that you see here. So be prepared and come see us live, or you can come online. When we do live, we will have tables. We're not going to be packed in like sardines like we are here. And we'll hand out a little form if you want to get registered, because you can come. And if you're registered today, you can even come for free, because the vendors are paying for your training. For you guys online, we'll post a little link online. You can fill out the form online. If you sign up today, you can do it for free. If you wait, you can pay. Either way. So additional marketing strategies. Letters of intent. What is a letter of intent? A letter of intent is an offer. So the question is, who should you send an offer to? And the answer is everybody. Okay, I'm going to give you all your first homework assignment. Tomorrow, I want each of you to send 300 people an offer on their house. Yeah, I'm not kidding. You see, here's how investors think. Ready, fire, aim. You make the offer, and then you negotiate. You make the offer, and then you look for the money. You make the offer, and then you do your due diligence. You make the offer, and then, and only then, do you think about it. You should make everybody an offer. Why not? Do you know that every time you make somebody an offer here in Texas, do you know you get 4 different options? Just by making an offer, you actually get 4 different options. You might want to write them down. Option number 1, you can buy a house, because they might say yes. If you take 300 shots on goal, what do you think is going to happen? Something's going in, even if you suck. And with practice, what do you think is going to happen? More of them are going to go in, because with their practice, you don't suck anymore. So yeah, sometimes you just make somebody an offer. You're in the right place at the right time. Honey, we need to sell the damn house, whatever. Right? So option number 1, you can buy a house. Option number 2, you can terminate the offer. Do you know the Texas state promulgated contract gives the buyer, and only the buyer, the unilateral right of just ripping it up, terminate, no harm, no foul, no risk, no penalty. There's no risk at all, no cost, no risk. Option number 3, you can renegotiate the offer after you make it. Do you know that it's much, much, much easier to renegotiate than it is to negotiate? Especially when everybody that's calling you back is saying they want to sell, i.e., they want to negotiate. Option number 4, you can even sell the contract to somebody else that has money. Notice only one of those 4 options even required you to come up with any money to buy a house. Just make offers. Give yourself options. So why so many different marketing methods? FSBO, for sale by owner. Why would somebody try to sell their own house? Maybe they're lazy, maybe they're crazy, maybe they need solutions that realtors don't offer. Why so many different marketing methods? Well, would you rather fish with a hook, or would you rather fish with a net? And the answer is, you need to learn to fish with a net. And the reason is because this business is a numbers game, and now I'm going to teach you the numbers. I'm going to teach you something right now that it took me 2 years of hard work in the trenches to figure out. So by 2005, I was a real estate investor for 2 years. And after 2 years, then I did some math. I calculated in my first 2 years, I had generated about 400 leads. What is a lead? Just to name a number, somebody that might want to sell real estate. So I was looking at a house at least every couple days for the first couple years. And then I did the math. And here's what I discovered. As a rookie, on average, for every $100 I spent on paid marketing, things like direct mail, I got 1 qualified motivated seller lead. As a rookie, on average, for every 3 hours that I spent on personal marketing, things like driving for dollars, I got 1 qualified motivated seller lead. Then I discovered that as a rookie, on average, for every 20 leads that I got, I made at least $20,000 net profit on a deal. So let me do the math for you. Okay, spend, if $100 a lead, right? So what does that cost? I'll do the math for you. Every 60 hours, I make at least $20,000 on a deal. Every time I spend $2,000, $100 a lead, generates 20 leads, makes me at least $20,000. So let me do the math for you. Spend 2,000, okay, spend 2,000, make 20. Spend 2,000, make 20. Spend 4,000, okay, make 40. Okay, spend 8,000, okay, on marketing, make 80. Spend 16,000, okay, make 160. Spend 32,000 on marketing. You don't have to spend it all at once, by the way. Make 320,000 net profit. Are you starting to like the numbers? It took me 2 years of hard work to figure that out. But after 2 years in the trenches, what I realized is, holy cow, this whole business is just a numbers game, and now I know the numbers. And I started to think about this business in a very different way after I realized this. I now see my whole business, this whole business, like it's just a little black box. My whole business is just a little black box. And we're going to call that little black box a marketing machine. And the way that little black box works is every time I stick $100 worth of marketing in one end, eventually $1,000 worth of net profit pops out the other end. So if you had a little black box, every time you shoved a $100 bill in one end, a $1,000 bill popped out the other end, how many dollars would you stick in the box? All of them, right? And that's what I did. I started spending money on marketing like a drunken sailor because I knew, right? I started spending thousands of dollars a month on marketing. And then I started spending tens of thousands of dollars a month on marketing. And then I hired 2 full-time 6-figure guys who spend 100% of their time spending my money on marketing. And today, in some months, I spend as much as $100,000 a month on marketing. Because once you realize it's a numbers game, and once you know the numbers, you dial it in, and then you dial it up. And that's how business works. Business is all about dialing it in and dialing it up. Okay, so you got to pick some of those marketing methods. Some are free, they take time, some take money. You don't have to do them all, you have to do a couple, 2, 3, maybe 4, maximum of 5. Couldn't even do more than 5. Get the leads coming in, right? Make the offers, turn them into deals. Okay? And sometime later, I actually wrote a book on real estate investing. I don't offer a book anymore. I used to offer a book. I don't find it very useful, to be honest with you. Books, I don't find very useful as a real estate investor. I'll tell you why. It took me a while to figure this out. I went to, and you see, real estate's not that complicated. I'm going to tell you right now, real estate is really not that complicated. I went to engineering school. That was complicated. Okay, I had to take calculus, calculus 2, calculus 3. By the time I took calculus 3, I had to remember calculus 1 and 2. It was really, really complicated. I've never had to solve a differential equation to flip a house. It's not that complicated. But unlike engineering and calculus, it's a mile deep. The thing about real estate, it's a mile wide. It's just a million little details. You see, learning real estate is not really learning a skill. It's really like learning a language. But you can't learn a language from reading a book, and that's what you have to remember. You go read 100 books on how to speak Spanish, you'll learn how to count to 10. That's about how far I got. Exactly. How do you learn a language? Practice, immersion. You want to learn Spanish? Go to Spain. You want to eat or go to the bathroom, you learn some Spanish. So I read a bunch of books. I got nowhere, right? And if reading books turn people into millionaires, the library should be filled with millionaires, but they're not. And it was not until I joined the local Real Estate Investor Association and frankly started hanging out with real estate investors and just immersing myself in this and seeing and hearing it 2, 3, 5, 10, 20 times that I picked up enough of the details to be able to do it myself. So that's how I became a real estate investor. Okay, so We're about to get into the last part of the presentation. I'm going to show you the strategies, arguably the more interesting part of the training. But before I do that, I do want to make a point again. I said, we're here to make you all educated, contributing members of this community. We really want you to be educated and participatory. And we have these meetings all over Texas, multiple times a month. And we always have a lot of new people that come to the meetings. And we call the new people tourists, right? Like, honey, let's go check out the REIA. And there's nothing wrong with that, right? But we figured out a long time ago that nobody actually makes any money being a tourist, right? We need people to be active, right? Buying, selling, partnering, lending, borrowing, right? Swapping, whatever. I mean, that's where we all make money, right? All this paid for a bunch of vendors. They make money when you do something, not when you watch people do something. So we need you to be, and want you to be active. But I also figured out a long time ago that unfortunately, I can't transform somebody into a real estate investor in 45 minutes. If I could only figure out how to sprinkle pixie dust on somebody's head and turn them into a real estate investor in 45 minutes, yeah, that would be awesome. I don't know how to do that. Now, I can, however, and I have, on many occasions, turn people into real estate investors over a period of 24 hours. Or maybe it would be more accurate to say 24 hours spread out over 3 days, giving us the time to get through all the nitty-gritty details of how this business works. And this is why the Texas REIA sponsors the TexasREIAsFlipping.com Real Estate Investor Workshop. I teach this myself. I've taught more Texans how to invest in Texas than any other Texan. I'm pretty sure of that. And it's practical, actionable, detailed, step-by-step training. We're talking about it because the new year is coming up, and you're going to want to set your New Year's resolutions by taking advantage of it. We get into all 12 strategies. You got to know them all. You're going to want to know them all. We teach you all 65 marketing methods to find off-market, because we only buy off-market wholesale deals. The closes, the magic words you say to get somebody to accept your solution to the problem, how to partner with local experts that want to partner with you. If you don't waste their time, you find good deals. We'll teach you how to find good deals, how to access private money, which gives you a competitive advantage. Thousands, and I mean thousands, of the most successful investors in the state of Texas have got started here, the real deal, Texans teaching Texans how to invest in Texas. We even have a YouTube show where every single week we interview somebody here in Texas that came to this workshop that's now typically a millionaire or a multimillionaire as a result of learning how to do this from this community. I don't know any other workshop in the world that can point to somebody on a weekly basis that's typically a millionaire or multimillionaire from the training. And the training is paid for by the vendors, and it is world class, and it is absolutely free. So we're doing it live and in person. I recommend you come live and in person, or you can attend online or even go back and forth if you need to go back and forth. Some of the things we're going to learn. How to buy the best rental properties. We have heat maps that are designed down to the street level to show you exactly where to buy and hold and exactly where to fix and flip. And if you don't know how to do this, you're buying or holding, or you're going to buy and hold the wrong stuff, because it's very contrarian to what a lot of people understand and think they understand. How to get off-market deals from outsourcing. I do a lot of outsourcing. How to get paid. This is my favorite offer. I will remodel anybody's house for free. I make a fortune doing that. I'll show you how to make a fortune doing that. Here's a cool one. A lot of people are like, oh, interest rates are so high now. Oh. Well, actually, there's a new loan product available, and all of you are eligible for this. You can get a 3% mortgage on a rental property, and here's the really cool part. No down payment, no documentation, no credit required. Who would like that loan? 3% interest, no doc, no credit needed. Anybody want that loan? Who doesn't want that loan? Now let's talk. Who's feeling a little skeptical right now? Raise your hand if you're feeling a little skeptical. Right? Oh, you should feel skeptical. I mean, it's ridiculous. 3% mortgage with no money down and no credit required. Not even an application is required. Yeah, continue to feel skeptical. I'll tell you what, I'm not going to make you wait until the workshop for that one. I'm going to show you that one next. So I'll show you how to get that because that's a game changer. How about how to use AI? This is what I do. I don't have time to talk to 10,000 people, but I have a guy that works for me. He's actually an AI bot, and he does it for me. You can too. You should. How to use VAs. I have 14 virtual assistants. They work in the Philippines, and I pay them a fortune by Filipino standards, which is not very expensive by American standards. They all have college degrees. They're really smart, hardworking people. So it's a great way to build a team. So that's just a little taste of what we're going to be covering at the workshop. I teach the whole thing myself, so I'm not some sales guy here trying to sell you something from somebody else. I am the guy who teaches the workshop, so I'll be the one in front of you for 3 days. And just pick the date and location that works best for you. It's the same workshop, but we're doing it in 3 different cities. Now, if the date doesn't work, if you have a conflict, for example, if your daughter is getting married, here's what I suggest. I suggest you cancel the wedding, okay? Because the most important thing is going to change your life in a good way and get your year started off correctly is attending the workshop. So pick the date and location. We'll hand out a form in just a minute. I do want to tell you about one more thing, though, which I also suggest you do. Join the freaking REIA. If you have the slightest interest in real estate, the very first thing you should do is join your local real estate investor association. This is by far the largest, most prestigious, most resourceful network of real estate investor associations in the great state of Texas. And membership has vast privileges. Number one, well, let me ask you a couple of questions. Who would like to have access to 20,000 buyers? Anybody want a 20,000 buyers list? Okay, you need to join the REIA. Would anybody like to have access to 1,000 private money lenders right here in Texas? Who wants 1,000 private money lenders? Okay, you need to join the REIA. How many of you would like to have the ability to interact with thousands and thousands of other investors on a daily basis? Anybody want to do that? Okay, you should join the REIA. So as a member of the REIA, when you come to the workshop, the training, you get VIP, right? Which means you get to sit up front. You also get VIP lunches and lunch sessions. You get the online group. That's where you can interact with me and thousands of other people. We meet every minute of every day. We're here in person right now, but we meet every minute of every day online. You get a Texas Money Resource Guide. You get a flipping training program. And we have all kinds of special events online. So if you have the slightest interest in real estate, you really should join your local real estate investor association. And also, this is the only organization in Texas that spends money on legislative action to protect your rights. Okay, the legislature is always trying to come up with good ideas to change the laws that would affect you. Wholesaling is under attack. Right, just a few years ago, we came that close to losing the wraparound mortgage if it was not for this organization spending tens of thousands of dollars, right, to protect your rights. Your rights would be lost. So if you have the slightest interest in real estate, you should join your local real estate investor association and take advantage of all the resources. And it's a $250 cost to do that, but drum roll please, we've got an end of the year special, and you can join for the next year for only $100. So $100 gets you a membership in the REIA. You're a VIP at the workshop. It's a 1-year membership. You're not automatically renewed, but you have the option of renewing in a year if you want. And if you join the REIA today, you can even bring your guest or significant other with you to the workshop. You don't have to have them join as well. One person can join for the both of you. So we also have a commercial workshop for those of you that are interested in commercial. And a really cool training poster. I'm not going to go through this. This is what happens when an engineer becomes a real estate investor. I invent stuff. I've invented software tools, AIs, all kinds of stuff. This little box and contraption here in the middle is it's a TV studio on wheels. We're broadcasting tonight. And these are the 273 things you need to learn to be a real estate investor, all on a poster. Like all the different investing strategies, all the different marketing campaigns, sales and marketing closes, operations, things like power teams and corporate structures, finance, analysis, due diligence. We got some of these posters, and if you join the REIA, you even get one of these really cool posters, and you get your VIP tickets and all the rest. So join the REIA. Please join the REIA. You really should. The workshop has been paid for by your vendors. The REIA is $100 if you join today. You should all join the $100 because if you don't have $100, you may not even want to invest in real estate, but you should definitely invest in being a member of the REIA. And here's what we're going to do. We're going to hand out a little form. Can we hand out the form? You got some of the forms? So we're going to hand out a little form for you guys online. We're going to post the form online. And for you guys here in the room, we'll give you a live copy of the form. So the form is really simple. Please fill out the form. And on the form, at the top of the form, pick which workshop you would like to attend. There's a Austin one, a Dallas one, and a Houston one. There's a date that's stamped there. That's the Friday. That's the day one of the 3-day workshop. So pick which one you want based on the date. It's the exact same workshop in Austin, in Dallas, and in Houston. If you want to come to Dallas, come to Dallas. If you want to come to Austin. Sometimes I like to travel to a city when I go to a workshop because I don't want any interruptions. I want to go somewhere new. Now, let us know if you want to come in person or if you want to come online. Now notice today there's a special deal that whether you come in person or online, it is free. So it has been paid for by the vendors. Normally it's $1,000. You're getting a heck of a deal here. You can come for free. Now even if you're going to go back and forth between live and online, tell us you're going to come live because we need to know how many people are going to be live to know chairs and all that sort of thing. Live does not scale to an infinite degree. Online obviously does. Now, please join the REIA. If you join the REIA, just check this box. This kind of reviews all the goodies you get for being part of the REIA. And notice if you join the REIA today, it's $100. So the workshop is free, live or online. The REIA is $100. You all need to join the REIA. It's only $100. Add those two numbers up, which would be somewhere between 0 and 100. Right? Tell us a little bit more about you so we can connect you up with resources that are going to help you. And when you fill out the top, please print clearly, because if we don't have your phone and or email, we can't send you the logistics to get you to the workshop, and somebody else will get your seat at the workshop. So we'll collect the forms back at the end, fill them out when you get a chance, and we'll collect them back at the end. Pick the date that works best for you. It doesn't have to be in your city. It can be any of these dates. We will call you a day or two before the workshop to RSVP you, okay? Because we need a last-minute count on how many people are going to be live, especially and online. If for some reason at the last minute you have to change, right? If you registered today, we'll let you sign up for the next time we do a workshop. So you can just move the date at that time, but do your best chance at just picking the date you're pretty sure you're going to be at right now. And with that, let us go ahead and get back to the training. And I will answer questions and do a little bit more on the workshop later, but I want to get back to the training. So marketing, we talked about marketing. Let's give marketing a check, and let's talk about strategies. So I'm going to teach you these different strategies that you can use to be a real estate investor. And people always ask me, well, what's the best strategy, right? Like, what's the best strategy? Well, there is no best strategy, right? There's a bunch of strategies, and we're going to talk about a bunch of strategies. So for example, you can learn how to do short sales. You can learn how to do buy and hold, mortgage assignments, auction options. You can learn referrals. You can learn wholesaling, contracts for deeds. You can learn lease options, house swapping, wraparound mortgages. You can learn equity partnering, and of course you can learn fix and flip. And you can certainly spend a lot of time and money in all that training and education. In fact, my wife and I have actually spent over $100,000 on training, coaching, seminars. Most of it was great. It all sounded great. Some of it was not great. But I don't feel bad about spending over $100,000 on our education, because we've actually made many millions of dollars from our education. But I do have a little pet peeve at how most people teach and how most people get taught. Because when you look at all of these strategies, here's the good news. All of these strategies work. All of these strategies work. That's the good news. The bad news is that they each only work in unique situations. You see, each one of these strategies should be thought of as the solution to somebody's problem. But remember what I said earlier, your job one is to find the deal, marketing. So let's talk about this. Here's a brand new investor hunting for a deal, and he does some marketing. Maybe he sends out some letters, maybe he puts out a beta sign, maybe he runs a Facebook ad, whatever. He does some marketing. He generates a lead. What is a lead? The name and number of somebody that might want to sell real estate. Well, if this guy had got the right training, he would learn how to help that seller solve their problem by using a strategy called a wraparound mortgage. But that's not the training he got. He went to one of those silly wholesale seminars, and all he learned how to do was wholesaling. So he's looking for a wholesale deal. He didn't find one. He found a wrap deal. He doesn't know how to do that, so he can't make any money on that lead, and he can't help that seller. So he does some more marketing, and he generates yet another lead. And now if he only knew how to do a mortgage assignment, he could help somebody solve a problem and get a check. But he doesn't know how to do that because all he knows how to do is wholesaling and still looking for a wholesale deal. So he can't help that seller, can't make money on that lead. So he does some more marketing, generates yet another lead. Now if he only knew how to do an auction option, he could solve a big problem and get a big check, but he doesn't know how to do that because all he knows how to do is wholesaling, and he's still looking for a wholesale deal. Are you starting to see a problem? This is big rookie mistake number 2. There's 30,000 YouTube videos that teach people how to invest in real estate. And what most of that education says is this: you need to get started by learning one strategy, and this is the best one. No, this is the best one. No, this is the best one. Well, whatever, you need to learn a strategy, right? Make money on that strategy. After you learn how to make money on that strategy, later on you can learn some other strategy. Sounds pretty good, feels pretty good, but forgive my language when I say this, that is a completely ass-backwards way to go about this. Saying that you need to learn one strategy and make money on one strategy before you learn the other strategy, that's kind of like saying you need to go to Las Vegas and learn how to bet on one number on the roulette wheel. And after you make enough money betting over and over and over again on that one number on the roulette wheel, later on you can learn how some other numbers work. Well, that's ridiculous. And yet that's how 85% of real estate investors get started investing in real estate. As a no surprise that 85 or 95% of real estate investors give up before they ever get going. And about 99% of wholesalers. So let's have the talk. Wholesaling. There's nothing wrong with wholesaling. Wholesaling is one of the 12 strategies that I use and that I teach. Honestly, it's the easiest one to teach. The problem, though, I would say, with wholesaling is even though it's the easiest strategy to teach, I would argue it's also probably the hardest one to do that on average makes the least amount of money for the amount of effort you put in. So when I hear somebody say, I want to get started by wholesaling, here's how my brain translates that plan. I want to do the hardest thing there is to do that on average makes the least amount of money. And I know from my experience that about 99 out of 100, maybe not 100 out of 100, but about 99 out of 100 people that try to execute that plan exclusively end up giving up before they ever get going. For example, how many of you have read the book, The Millionaire Wholesaler? That's because it's never been written, nor will it ever be written, because it's the hardest thing to do that makes the least amount of money. So I'm going to teach you what the top 5% of investors do. And my advice is to play to be in the top 5% or don't bother because they make all the money. So here's how I do it, and here's how I'm going to teach you how to do it at the workshop. What I do is I bet on all of the numbers on the wheel, and then I spin the wheel a lot. And what do I mean by I bet on all the numbers on the wheel? I use all 12 strategies. Why not learn all 12 ways to fill out a contract? Why not learn all 12 ways to solve a problem? You spend time and money, it's called marketing, to get somebody with a problem to talk to you. If there's a way to help them and solve the problem and get paid, you need to help them and solve the problem and get paid. And once you know all 12 strategies, we have a solution for every problem there is. There is no exception. We can help motivated sellers, non-motivated sellers, free and clear, hopelessly underwater. And then what do you want to do? Spin the wheel a lot. And what does that mean? Look at a lot of deals, right? Take a lot of shots on goal. If you take enough shots on goal, some of them are going in. Okay, so this is what the top 5% of investors do. So let's learn how to play it in the top 5%. So we got to get the leads coming in, and then we got to know all the strategies. So let's teach you a couple strategies. Oh, actually, I'm going to tell you another story. This was my first big deal. After I was a real estate investor, for just over 2 years, I flipped this house, and I actually made $291,000 flipping this house. Pretty good deal. But the more interesting part of the story is I was actually the 8th investor at bat. So what does that mean? 7 other real estate investors looked at this deal before me and passed on the deal. How is that even possible? How could 7 different real estate investors pass on a deal, an opportunity to make almost $300,000? How's that even possible? I'm going to tell you it's not even possible. It's actually typical, right? It's actually typical. Let me tell you the rest of the story. First investor looks at this house and says, I'd love to buy your house, but you're underwater. You owe more money than the house is worth. You can't even afford to sell me your house. Second investor looks at this house and says, I'd love to buy your house, but you're in bankruptcy. I can't buy a house from somebody in bankruptcy. Third investor looks at this house and says, well, I can help you avoid a foreclosure by doing something called a short sale, but I can't do that while you're in bankruptcy. Plus you have a mid-construction project. I don't do mid-construction. I looked at this house and I said, my, oh my, oh my, you have a lot of big problems here, don't you? Big problem means what? Big opportunity. You know, it took 1, 2, 3 different strategies to solve this guy's problem. I solved the problem. I got the check. My competition was a bunch of one-trick ponies. Most of my competitors are a bunch of one-trick ponies. 30,000 YouTube videos teach people how to be one-trick ponies. One-trick ponies are annoying. They get in the way at times, but they don't last long. Guys, if you think you're going to find pretty houses at big discounts just waiting, hanging off of trees, you are smoking crack, okay? This is what opportunity looks like. A big bundle of problems with a nice, pretty bow around it. I want a house where half the house burned down. I want a house that had a meth lab that exploded in the garage. I want a house that was flooded. I want a house that has mold. I want a house where someone was murdered in the living room. Oh, yeah. You can make a killing on a murder house. I own one. How do you make a killing on a murder house? Murder's not common, but stigma is. So how do you make money on a stigma house? What do you think it costs to buy a murder house? Anybody want to guess? Not much. 20 cents on the dollar. And do you know what everybody says when they walk by that house? They point at that house. That's a murder house. And a year later when they're going by that house, you know what they do? They point at the house again, and they're like, man, something bad happened in that house. A few years later, they're going by that house. They kind of look around. They're like, something happened somewhere around here. About 5 years later, they go by that house, and what do they say? Nice house. How much? Stigmas go away. Bought a house for $180. It's now worth $480. What did I do? I didn't do anything. I rented it out to a guy that didn't mind living in a murder house. I gave him a good deal, right? Somebody gets shot in a bar, it's a crime scene. A few years later, it's a tourist attraction. My point is that stigmas, right, problems are opportunities. Big problems are big opportunities. So you have to change your mindset, right? We're looking for problems. We like problems. Problems are good. We help the world by solving the world's problems. We'll take the property nobody wants, the ugly property, and we'll make it beautiful again, right? That's what we do. We have a great influence on the community in that way. So I'll give you another example. One of my students recently bought one of those $150,000 Teslas. He paid cash for it, and he calls it his air car. H-E-I-R, air car. Yes, somebody died without a will. Do you know that 2 out of 3 people don't have a will? Light bulb. But they did have 42 heirs. And everybody said, no way, man, no way, you're going to get 42 people to agree on something, big problem. Okay, he rolled up his sleeves and it took a little effort, but eventually got 42 people to agree that a little bit of something is a whole lot better than a whole lot of nothing. Now he's driving around a $150,000 air car. Problems are opportunities. So we like problems. We have all kinds of ways to find the problems, and then we solve the problems using strategies. So let's teach you a couple strategies. The first strategy I'm going to teach you today is wholesaling. Easiest one to teach, I'll teach you right now. How does it work? It's actually pretty simple. You simply find a property and get it under contract. How much does it cost to get a property under contract? How much? Nothing. Can we all afford that? I think so. Now, after we get it under contract, instead of buying the property, we're going to simply sell the contract itself to another investor for a fee. Okay. How much is the fee? Well, I don't know, $500 to $5,000 for a small deal, $10,000 to $25,000 for an average deal, $25,000 or more for a big deal. And this is a no money, no risk strategy. I've discovered it's really hard to lose money when you're not actually spending or investing any money. This is one of the 9 different strategies that are no money strategies. So typical profit, I don't know, 10,000, 20,000, could be up to 100,000. And it requires little or no money and little or no risk. So let me give you an example. When you come to the workshop, I'm going to teach you the theory. I just taught you the theory. But then I'm always going to tell you the story, because you have to see examples of how this is actually done. So I'm going to tell you at the workshop about 100 different stories of other Texans doing exactly this. So for example, this is Kimberly. She came to the workshop and she went and did her first deal. And she told me about the deal after she did it. Her mom was visiting her from out of town. So she's in the car with her mom, and her mom is like, Kim, where are we going? Oh, well, Mom, we're going to get a house under contract. What? Kim, are you crazy? You just graduated from college. You don't have any money. You don't have any credit. You don't even have a job. What do you mean you're getting a house under contract? Don't worry, Mom. I know what I'm doing. So Kim's mom watched Kim walk into that house and offer the seller $265,000 cash for his house. And he signed a contract. Now, obviously, they talked on the phone ahead of time. Obviously, he was a motivated seller. Kim then took that contract and she posted it out to the network. Do you know that we meet every minute of every day online? That's why you really want to be part of the network. You know, thousands and thousands and thousands of times over the last decade, the members of this community post their deals, questions, offers, references, referrals, money, whatever, back and forth over that network. I said, guys, earlier, you're not going to find your deal in the MLS, right? That's the retail pond, right? That's the pond with the small fish. You need to fish in the wholesale pond. Okay, that's the pond with the big fish. So where's the wholesale pond? You're sitting in it, okay? Yeah, network of real estate investors, right? Networking. So anyway, Kim posted this deal out to the network, and guess what? Several other investors in the network wanted to buy that contract, that deal from Kim. And Kim sold her contract to another member of the REIA for $17,000. So now Kim is a believer. Well, actually, Kim was a believer. Now Kim's mom is a believer. So now what would Kim have done with that contract had nobody wanted to buy the contract? What would she done with the contract? What do you think? Terminate. Right? Terminate. No harm, no foul, no risk, no penalty, no cost. But she didn't need to, did she? Okay, who bought the contract? Another member of the REIA by the name of Tatiana. Let me tell you about Tatiana. I know her very well. Tatiana paid Kim $17,000 for the contract. It then became Tatiana's contract. Crossed out Kim's name as the buyer, wrote her name in, or really her company name as the buyer. Tatiana then bought the house for $265,000 cash. She had the cash. She kept it for 6 months as a month-to-month rental. After the tenants moved out, she did a renovation, a small addition, and then she sold it after owning it for 12 months. And when she sold it, she made almost $100,000 of net profit that she only had to pay long-term capital gains on, no income taxes. Do you think Tatiana was pretty happy that Kim found that deal for her? What do you think? Yes. Yeah, you bet. So let's see what we got here. Do a little audience interaction participation. Just out of curiosity, how many of you are cash buyers? Raise your hand if you're a cash buyer. Okay, let me ask you a different question. How much cash do you have to make a cash offer? Zero. Well, then how much cash do you technically have to be a cash buyer? Zero. You don't have to have any cash to make a cash offer. You don't have to have any cash to be a cash buyer. You just need to know people with cash. Let me ask you guys another question. Does anybody here know somebody that you could call? You got a smoking hot deal to buy a property for a big discount for cash. Does anybody know somebody you could call? For example, who? Yeah, what do you think I'm doing up here? Over here, guys. Over here. Yeah. And in fairness, there's 100 guys just like me, several hundred guys just like me, out on that network that would be pleased as punch, right? If you guys got out there, you got a property, you don't want it yourself, pitch it back to the group. That's why we need you. That's why we want you. That's why we'll even train you, right, on how to be educated and contributing members of this community. Y'all starting to see how this works? Now, let me try this again, because I can see I have my work cut out for me. By a show of hands, how many of you are cash buyers? Raise your hand if you're cash buyers. Oh, fantastic. I love talking to a room full of cash buyers. Yeah, and the network instantly puts people with cash in connection with people with money. Instantly puts people with money in connection, right? I'm sorry, I said cash and money, the same thing, right? Instantly puts people with deals, right? Property in connection with people with cash. Instantly puts people with cash in connection with people with deals. So welcome, right, to the wholesale marketplace. That's why you definitely want to be part of the REIA, right? You get access to all this stuff. All right, one more strategy. This is a little more complicated and a little more interesting. It's called buying a property subject to the mortgage. This is buying and owning real estate even with no money and with no credit. I am a nationally recognized expert at teaching this. It's possible I'm the national expert. I'm certainly a national expert. I've literally taught tens of thousands of people how to do this, maybe more than anybody is taught and actually done it. What does this mean? How does this work? How does real estate work? When somebody buys real estate, how does that work? You go to a title company, you sign a stack of documents. Now, most of the documents at the closing are disclaimers and disclosures, but there's two documents that get signed at the closing that actually make the closing happen. The two documents that make the closing happen are the deed and the note. The deed and the note. Notice these are separate documents. Whosever name goes on the deed, that's who owns the house. Whosever name goes on the note, that's who's responsible for the mortgage. So there's two documents, a deed and a note. Normally the same guy's on both. Guy buys a house, his name is on the deed, his name is on the note. He owns a house and he's responsible for the mortgage. That's normal. He moves into the house, it's his house. And all the rights, privileges, responsibilities, and benefits of home ownership, they go to him. It's his house. At the end of the month, he gets a statement from the bank, says you owe us $1,000 for your mortgage, $2,000 for your mortgage. He writes the bank a check for $2,000. They get the check, they cash the check, bank's happy, he's happy, everybody's happy. That's how it works. And then the guy goes on to get married. And well, you know, Texas is a community property state. So when the guy gets married, the wife is added to the deed. Now there's two names on the deed, his and hers. Right? Look at the deed, there's two names. Look at the tax records, there's two names. Right? But his is still the only name on the note. Just because somebody's taken on or off the deed, that does not affect the note. And then time goes on and things don't work out and they get a divorce. And in their situation, the wife gets the house in the divorce. So now something kind of interesting has happened. Now her name is the only name left on the deed, but his name is still the only name on the note. So the question is, as long as he keeps sending a check every month to the bank, or she starts sending the bank a check every month, or a tenant or a property manager, a neighbor, investor, friend, or family member, or somebody sends the bank a check every month, the question is, does the bank actually care who wrote the check? What do you think? No, there's some dude, right, sitting at the bank and opening envelopes. Oh, we got a check. Came on time for the right amount and cleared. We're good. So if you're listening to me closely, I just told you all a story about a spouse, about a person, about a woman who was able to acquire real estate, even with no money and with no credit. So there it is, an example of how to acquire real estate with no money and no credit. I told you I was going to teach you how to do that. All right, so here's the really good part. You can all do exactly the same thing, and you don't have to get married to do it. Because here's the deal, folks. Anybody, any of you, anybody can go up to any homeowner that has any loan, any mortgage, from any lender in any house at any time, and you can make them an offer. And the offer any of you can make with any homeowner that has any loan from any lender on any house at any time is this. Here's the offer. I will make the payment on your mortgage for you going forward, or I will find somebody to make the payment on your mortgage for you going forward. What's the catch? You simply have to hand the deed, which is ownership of the property, to me. And you could do this with any homeowner that has any loan, any mortgage from any lender on any house at any time. And the only person that has to agree to this transaction is the person whose name is on the deed, not the bank. The bank has no say in this transaction. There are federal laws that regulate these transactions. Anybody can transfer their deed to anybody. Anybody can pay somebody else's mortgage if they want to. So if you're listening to me closely, here's what you just heard me say. You can buy any house in Texas from any homeowner in Texas that has any loan from any lender. You can buy that person's house at any time, and you can buy that person's house even with no money and with no credit by simply offering to take over the payment on their mortgage, or even offering to find somebody to take over the payment on their mortgage. And once you learn how to buy real estate with no money and with no credit, then how many houses can you buy? All of them, a very scalable process. Look, when somebody's in financial distress, they got a house, they got a mortgage. Is the house the problem, or is the mortgage the problem? Owning a house is never a problem. Being responsible for a mortgage, that can be a big problem. So if you solve the big problem by taking over the payments or finding somebody to take over the payments, you ask them to transfer the deed, which is ownership of the property, to you. So it's simply agreeing to pay a seller's mortgage in exchange for the deed. Now, once somebody gives you their deed, transfers their deed to you, you own it. You can do whatever you want with it. You can renovate it, you can wrap it, you can assign it, you can retail it, turn it into a rental. You can keep it as a homestead if you want. I've helped many of my friends here in Texas buy their very own homestead with this little or no money, no credit needed strategy. How much money can you make? Well, there's a lot of ways to make a lot of money when you're buying houses with no money and no credit. Small flip, at least 10 or 15,000, typically a lot more. And this is another little or no money, little or no credit exercise strategy. So let me give you an example to make this a little more clear. This is one of the $30 million worth of properties. This is one of the $30 million worth of rental properties that I own here in Texas. And, you know, if I wanted to buy $30 million worth of houses traditionally, I mean, think about it. I'd have to put down 20% every time I bought a house. In other words, I'd have to be a multi-millionaire just to become a millionaire. Well, I wasn't a millionaire when I started investing in real estate. So then how was I able to accumulate $30 million worth of houses? Well, I'm going to show you most of them were purchased exactly using this strategy, including this one. So let me tell you about this one. A woman owned this house worth $150,000. She owed $110,000 on the mortgage. So this house has $40,000 of equity. She had the house rented out for $1,600 a month rent. The mortgage payment, including tax and insurance, is $1,100 a month. So this house is generating $500 a month of gross cash flow. It should have, could have, and it would have been a perfect rental property, except for one major problem. This woman had lost her job. She was continuing to collect the rent because she was living off of the rent, but she stopped paying the mortgage. 4 days before the first Tuesday of the month, when the bank was going to foreclose on her, I knocked on her door. Hello, can I help you? I am here to help you. Well, what can you do? There's no time. How can you help? There's no time. They're going to foreclose on me. How can you help? What can you do? There's no time. What can you do? How can you help? Here's what I can do. I can stop the foreclosure. I can reinstate your loan. I can catch up your mortgage payments. I can make your mortgage payments for you going forward. I can even repair all your credit. Well, that's amazing. What's the catch? You simply have to hand the deed, which is ownership of the property, to me. And she said, deal. Why in the world did she say deal? Because in 4 days, she's losing the house. But she wasn't just going to lose the house. In addition to losing the house, she was going to get a great big bonus to go along with it. What do you call the bonus? A foreclosure. And I'm going to tell you exactly what I told her. You don't want a foreclosure. You may think a foreclosure is the end of your problem. It's not. It's the beginning of a 10-year nightmare that can start with the sheriff and his deputies dragging you and your family and all of your possessions to the curb in front of your friends and neighbors. It's 10 years of dealing with the IRS potentially garnishing your wages to collect on a 1099 that could be issued against you for up to the full value of your loan. It's 10 years of dealing with the lender potentially filing a lawsuit against you for up to the full value of the home. It's 10 years of dealing with creditors calling you, hounding you day and night to collect on the judgment from the lawsuit. It's 10 years of not being able to buy another home, not being able to buy a car, not being able to get a credit card, not being able to open certain bank accounts or even rent certain apartments or even get certain jobs. In other words, it's a bullet to the head, and nobody wants all that. And I stopped all of that from happening to her, and she was thrilled, right? And the bank was thrilled. They didn't want the house back. And the tenants were thrilled. They didn't want to get kicked out of the house. They just wanted to keep renting the house, so I let them keep renting it for me, right? But mostly I was thrilled because for $4,500, which is what it cost me to reinstate that loan, I now own this beautiful $150,000 house. It came with a loan. It came with $40,000 of equity, all mine. It came with tenants paying me $1,600 a month rent. After I paid the bank $1,100, I put $500 back in my pocket, and if you think that's cool, my wife and I own $30 million worth of these properties. Some of them took small amounts of money like this. Most of them honestly took more money than this, but then some of them took absolutely no money at all. So let me ask you guys a question. How many of you would like me to walk you step by step by step through how to do this deal? Who would like me to walk you through how to do this deal? All right, we're all out of time. I'm sorry, we're almost out of time, but I'll finish. I do like to finish. I love this deal, but I bet you don't know why I love it so much. Some of you are like, oh, you're making $500 a month. Yeah, that's not it. $500 is not going to affect my life or my lifestyle at all. What I love about this is by doing this over and over and over again, over the last 21 years, my wife and I were able to accumulate a portfolio that is now worth $30 million. In fact, just over the last 3 years, that portfolio went up in value by more than 30%. In other words, just over the last 3 years, my wife and I became $10 million richer from having done this thing over and over again. This thing that required little or no money and no credit. That's what I love about this. This is the strategy that enables anybody, regardless of money or credit, to become multi-millionaire. Because I got to tell you, no matter how much money you have, you don't have enough. You got enough to put down payments on $30 million worth of houses? I don't care how much credit you have. I don't know how good your credit is. You don't have enough, right? This is the strategy that allows anybody, regardless of money or credit, to become multi-millionaires. And when I realized the wealth potential of this strategy, I actually made one additional tweak to the strategy. I no longer buy these houses in my name. In fact, I no longer buy these houses in my company's name. Now when I buy these houses, I prefer to buy them with my IRA. How many of you are aware that you could do this transaction with your IRA? Okay, well, for the rest of you, you know you can do this transaction with your IRA. In fact, come to the workshop. One of our vendors, Directed Trust IRA, will set it up for you so you can do it with your IRA. So what happens when your IRA does this deal? Well, your IRA puts out the $4,500 reinstatement fee to the bank. The deed transfers to the IRA. Okay. Every month, the property manager deposits $1,600 of rent into the IRA, and every month the IRA automatically issues a check for $1,100 back to the lender to pay the loan, and $500 transfers back into the IRA. But that's not the good part. What's the good part? Over the next 25 years, this property will double in value, and it'll double again. And even at very conservative appreciation rates, it'll almost double a third time. Something interesting happens to the loan on this property over the next 25 years. What happens to the loan? It gets paid off by the tenants. Thank you very much, tenants. In other words, every time my IRA does this deal, my IRA ultimately ends up owning an asset worth about $1 million that by then I own free and clear. And because my IRA is also a Roth IRA, when I sell the asset in retirement, 100% of the proceeds are tax-free. Did y'all just see what I did? I just showed you how to turn a $4,500 IRA into $1 million tax-free, doing one deal one time, helping a woman out of a horrible situation, right? Helping a tenant stay in a property they wanted to stay in, helping a bank not take a property back they didn't want back. All that just doing it once. The average retirement wealth of a 65-year-old is $62,000. It's pathetic. If you just did this one deal one time, you'd be 25 times richer than the average retired person. just doing it once. But I'll tell you what, I've never seen somebody do this deal once. 95% of the people will never do this deal. And 100% of the people that do it once, then what do? And they do it again. And then what do? And then they do it again, and again, and again, and 20 years later, they're standing behind a podium at a Marriott talking about all the times they did it. So one last time, how many of you would like me to walk you step by step through how to do this deal? Who wants to see how to do this deal? Okay, I'm going to walk you step by step through how to do this deal. How to find it, how to get it under contract, which contract to use, which attorney and title company to close it at, how to go through all the operational steps to do this deal. So I'm going to walk you through all of that, but it's going to take about 3 days, so we're going to have to finish at the workshop. And obviously that was pretty cool. Not my favorite. My favorite is renovating houses for free, and then there's 10 other strategies along with that. You're going to learn all the magic words. I just told you the magic words. That was actually called the atomic bomb close. Those were literally the exact words I said to that woman. Now think about how that deal happened. I literally got a list of people going into foreclosure. I called the people on that list and I read that script. And then they handed me their deed and I got that deal. Now think about that. Now it doesn't work every time. Some people don't want to talk to you. Some people say no. Some people say yes. 1 in 20 leads is going to turn into something. So you got to generate 20 leads to get something. But I mean, think about that. You get a list, you call, you read a script, right? They say yes, you get a house, rinse and repeat. That's how this process works, right? And that was your first close called the atomic bomb close. We're going to show you 65 marketing methods, all 12 investing strategies, how to partner, great way to get started, how to access funding, how to use your IRA, and on and on and on. Texans teaching Texans how to invest in Texas. So we're live and in person. We're also simulcasting online. We will have tables, so you'll have room to write. A couple of other details. Let me go back to that, details. Austin, Dallas, Houston. Join the REIA. Please all join the REIA. If you have $100 to your name, you need to join the REIA. Because then you become a VIP, you get to interact with me and thousands of other people, get access to 20,000 buyers, 1,000 private money lenders. And then when you come to the workshop, if I'm going to spend 3 days, I want VIP, I want the special sessions, the lunch, etc. So you definitely want to do that as well. Pick the date that works best for you. Austin, Dallas, Houston, great way to start off the year the right way. Right? So you're going to go off, you have a nice Christmas and New Year's, and then you're going to start the year with this life-changing workshop. Just fill out the form. We're going to collect the forms on the way out of here. We'll give you a little packet with your tickets and a little letter that explains kind of some logistics. We'll also email and text you with the details, and we'll call you a day or two before to RSVP. Yes, if you join the REIA, you should all join the REIA. You get to bring a guest along with you as a VIP as well. So that can be their Christmas gift. And it's only $100 if you join today. You get this really cool poster. It's a big poster you can hang on your wall, the 273 things you need to know to be a real estate investor. Really handy poster. And then at the workshop, we're going to go through the details of all this stuff you see on the poster. Real estate's not complicated, there's just a lot of details. A couple of other logistical details. People ask, can I get a copy of your presentation? Yes, we post it online. Just search for Texas REIAs. We're on Facebook, we're on Instagram. You should also subscribe to our YouTube channel. Some workshop details. I teach the workshop myself. I start talking at about 8:45 a.m., get there by 8:30, get a good seat. We go 24 hours over 3 days, but we do it late Friday, late Saturday, early Sunday. So we're going to start at 8:45 a.m. We're going to go right through until, kind of depends on you guys. Questions and other things. We'll probably go till like 7:30 Friday, 7:30 Saturday, I'm guessing. So be prepared. In fact, I'm probably going to call some people in the middle of the workshop that came to a prior workshop and say, show me what you got. We may have some live property tours right in the middle of the workshop. Bring a notebook, notepad. You're going to fill the entire notebook up with notes. So you definitely want to bring an entire notebook that you can fill with notes. Be engaged. I tell everybody I'm not here to entertain you. It's entertaining, but it's going to be life-changing. So I expect you to bring a notebook, and I'm going to help you put together a plan. You're going to walk out of there with a life-changing plan. We're going to take you through several exercises. You're all unique with different budgets of time and money. We're going to help you build your own marketing plan and teach you all the strategies. You're going to walk out of there knowing exactly how real estate is going to change your life in 2025. So some other questions real quick. How much experience do I need to do this? 75% of the people that come to this workshop are newbies. About 25% are experienced investors, but they tend to come to our workshop to learn some of the advanced strategies that only we teach. Can I bring my significant other? Yes, drag them by force if necessary. And I'm serious, you're going to regret it if you don't bring your significant other, even if they're not interested in real estate. I will make it fun, I will make it interesting, but even if they're not interested, if you expose them to it, they're going to be much more supportive. Because I'm going to tell you what's going to happen if you don't bring them. I'm going to teach you how to do all this creative real estate. And then you're going to go out and find this deal. And you're going to go home and you're going to say, honey, guess what? We're buying a house. And what do you think honey's going to say if honey was not at the workshop? What are you, crazy? You're going to get us thrown in jail. Blah, blah, blah. You know, yeah, no, trust me. I can't tell you how many people dragged a significant other and they got so excited they became the one to pick up the ball and run with it. And yes, if you join the REIA, you can even bring them as your VIP, right? You don't have to join both as a REIA. One can join the REIA and bring the others as your VIP. So make that their Christmas gift. Looking for a Christmas gift? Here it is, life-changing, worth a lot. How do I know this is the real deal? You know what, don't ask me. Why don't you ask somebody who's done it already? I actually invite everybody that comes to my training to fill out a feedback form. We scan them, handwritten feedback. Don't trust stuff you see on the internet, but when you hand fill out a feedback form and sign it in a unique signature, a whole page of writing, you can't fake that. And we post all of the feedback forms on the internet, no matter what anybody wrote on them. Why would we do that? Well, go look for yourself, and I'll tell you what you're going to see. Thousands and thousands of feedback forms, and 99 out of 100 all say the same thing. Oh my God, this was literally a life-changing experience. I mean, literally, we have changed many lives. We even feature a show on the Flipping channel where every week we interview somebody who's typically a millionaire, multimillionaire from this workshop. You know, where do I get my tickets? Turn in the form. They'll give you your tickets on the way out of here. Make sure you write legibly. And we will call you a day or two before the event just to RSVP. And with that, what if I want even more help? Join the freaking REIA. And that's how you can interact with everybody on a daily basis.